In this video, I'm going to be going over collision groups and how you can use them in your game. They are pretty useful. With collision groups, you can make it so certain parts will only collide with other parts of that group. So to first get started with collision groups, you're just going to go to the Models tab and then pick the Collision Groups button here. And then this is where you can assign parts to that group. So I'll go ahead and add in a part here. Just make it a little bigger. Okay, so now you can see what group a part is. If you go in the Properties tab of the part and scroll down, then you can see right here. It is in the default collision group right now. So if I want to make a new collision group, I'll just go here in the collision group editor and I can make a new group with this button right here. So I'm just going to pick a name. I'll just call it, for the sake of this tutorial, I'll be showing you how you can make it so players won't collide with each other, because that is a quite useful thing to do, and by default they will collide with each other. So I'll just call this players, and I know this isn't a player obviously, but I'll just be showing you this first and then I'll show you how to actually apply it to the players. So to assign a part a collision group, you can just press the button right here, and any parts you have selected, it will put into that group. So you can do it with multiple parts. It doesn't matter as long as they're all selected. And now you can see here, it says players. And you can also just do it like this. So now it's back in the default collision group, or I can change it back to the players. There's also a new feature here called Studio Selectable. This is basically just another way to lock parts, but it will do it for the whole group. So you can see right now I can select this part when I hover over my mouse, but then if I uncheck this box here in Studio Selectable for players, now you can see I can't select it anymore. Unless I drag select, then I can still select it. But if I'm just mousing over it like this, then I can't select it. So I'll just leave it enabled. And now if we go back to the players collision group, here we can see what this group can collide with. So right now, this group can collide with the default collision group. So any new parts you add, like if I just add another part in here, it's just automatically going to be in the default collision group. So, okay, yeah, you can't even delete this group, so you wouldn't want to anyway, but you can rename it if you want, but I would recommend just leaving this one alone. So, this is in the players collision group right now, and I can make it, if I want it to collide with other players, then I would just leave it checked. Or if I want it to not collide with other players, which is basically just this group, so it won't collide with any members of this group if I uncheck this. Or I can also make it so it will collide with the default or not collide with the default. So just to demonstrate that real quick, you can see this part has can collide on, and if I run the game right now, you can see it falls and then it collides with it. But if I uncheck this, As you can see, it just falls right through. And now I'm gonna duplicate this part and just move it above. And then I'm gonna make this the same group, so it's also in the players collision group. And right now they are not set to collide with each other, so if I run it, okay, wait, well, we gotta make it collide with the default. Okay, now you can see they just fell through each other. So if I don't want that, then I would just make it so they collide with each other. And then I run it again, and you can see they just stack on top of each other. So now getting on to how you will make this apply to your players. So I'll just go ahead and delete these parts. And then I'm going to do a multiplayer test just to show you that the players will collide with each other. So I'll just do a 2-player multiplayer test. Okay, you can see he's actually stuck on my back, so you can definitely see that they're colliding. And yep, you can see here, if I try and go through him, he can just block me. So you might want this for like maybe a PvP game, but otherwise you could just have players trolling each other where they're just blocking other players, so you might not want that. So now I'll show you how to change this. So yeah, just pick cleanup. Okay, so now I'll show you how to actually make it so the players don't collide with each other. So I'll just first go ahead and make a rig. I'll just zoom this in so I can see it better. And I'll pick a, let's see what this is. Okay, no, that's not what I want. Yeah, okay. Just want some basic player here. So I'll just put it in here, and then I'll name it starter character. Okay, so now if I play the game, you can now see I'm this character. Okay, so now to actually change the group, I'll just select all the parts here. And then I'm just going to click this plus button. You can even just select the whole model. You don't even have to select the individual parts. It'll just do all the children of that model. So now I'll just add it to a players group. And then if I scroll down here, now you can see I selected this part and it is part of the players group. So now what I'm going to do is just uncheck this box so the players will not collide with each other. And then I'll go ahead and do another test. Okay, and now you can see the players are not colliding with each other anymore. So this is very useful. There's probably plenty of other examples you can think of where you might just want other parts to collide with only certain parts. So this isn't the only usage for this, but it's the one that I found to be most useful. So now I'll show you how you can do this with scripting as well. So if I wanted to change the collision group in a script, I'll just add a new script here. And this is in the starter player or starter character scripts. So I can just get the character by doing script.parent. And then I'll just do a for loop. Character get children. And then I'll just check if it's a part. So if V is a part, then I'll just change to the collision group. And it's already set to players right now, so I'll just change it back to the default group. And this is just a string. So to fix that, if you want every part to be part of the group, then all you would do is just check for mesh parts as well. Okay, and then just run it again. And now if you look in here, you can see all the parts are part of the default collision group. So that's pretty much how collision groups work. They're very useful. And yeah, that's the end of the tutorial then.